Hi everyone, and welcome back to Crimson Rift Africa, the channel where we dive into the most disturbing, often overlooked stories from across the continent. If you are new here, this is the place where history, horror, and humanity collide, raw, unfiltered, and deeply African. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This video discusses real-life crimes and includes descriptions of violence and murder. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This content is created for educational and informational purposes only, to examine historical events and criminal cases. We do not condone or glorify the actions of the individuals discussed. Morocco is a North African country known for its rich history, diverse landscapes, and vibrant culture. Bordered by the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea, it blends Arab, Berber, and European influences. From the sweeping Sahara Desert to the snowy Atlas Mountains, Morocco is a land of contrast where tradition and modern life exist side by side. Marrakech is one of Morocco's most famous destinations. Founded nearly 1,000 years ago, it has long been a hub for trade, culture, and religion. Today, Marrakech is famous for its bustling markets, ancient palaces, mosques, gardens, and lively squares where food, music, and storytelling creates a unique atmosphere. Yet beneath this vibrant city, hidden behind the crowded streets and colorful markets, a darker story unfolded. A tale of disappearances, fear, and a series of crimes that would shock the city and leave an incredible mark on its history. Imagine walking through a marketplace in 1906, the scent of spices in the air, merchants calling out their trades, carpets and silks draped in the sun. But hidden beneath the cobblestones and carpets lies a dark secret: the remains of dozens of women who never made it home. For years, families whispered about the disappearances. Young women would leave home in search of work, guidance, or opportunity and vanish. No one knew where they had gone until the truth came crashing out from behind the walls of a respected merchant's shop. His name was Hadj Mohammed Mesfewi, nicknamed the Marrakech Ark Killer. He wasn't just a trader in goods, he was a trader in death. A man who used charm and trust to lure his victims before burying them in the very place where business and faith intertwined. When authorities uncovered his crimes, Morocco and the world stood horrified. This is the story of Morocco's most infamous serial killer and the extraordinary punishment that made his name echo in history for over a century. To understand the story of Hadj Mohammed Mesfewi, we first have to step into Morocco at the turn of the 20th century. Marrakech, the city where his crimes unfolded, was a place of incredible contrast. Beauty and horror living side by side. Known as the Red City because of its clay walls and buildings, Marrakech was a bustling hub of trade and culture. The Medina, a maze of narrow alleys and crowded markets, was filled with the sounds of bargaining, the smell of spices, and the constant movement of merchants, travelers, and pilgrims. It was a city where everyone knew someone and reputation mattered. But this was also a time of political uncertainty. Morocco in the 1900s was under the pressure from European powers, with France and Spain both pushing for influence. Many people turned to fortune tellers, herbalists, and traditional healers for guidance, and it was in this atmosphere of faith and desperation that Mesfewi found his victims. The women of Marrakech, especially those who were poor or without strong family ties, were the most vulnerable. They were often searching for work, love, or spiritual advice, and that search would tragically lead them straight into Mesfewi's hands. The man who would later be known as the Marrakech murderer was Hadj Mohammed Mesfewi. Unfortunately, much of his early life remains clouded in mystery. Exact details about his birth date, parents, and siblings was never formally recorded in the historical sources that survive. What we do know is that Mesfewi was a Moroccan merchant based in Marrakech in the 19th and early 20th century. His full name, Hadj Mohammed Mesfewi, carries particular significance. The title Hajj is given to any Muslim who has completed the pilgrimage to Mecca, one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Completing this journey earned him respect and social credibility within Moroccan society. To the people of Marrakech, this title marked him as devout, honorable, and trustworthy, a perception he would later exploit to lure victims. Mesfewi was not an outsider or a drifter. He ran a shop in the Marrakech busy Medina and was familiar to many in the community. People saw him as a successful, even trustworthy man, but behind this facade, he harbored a sadistic cruelty and a chilling ability to manipulate those who came to him for help. He was not alone in his crimes. Mesfewi worked closely with a female accomplice, often described as a fortune teller or a herbalist named Dana. Together, they preyed on the most vulnerable women in Marrakech, using charm, trust, and religious authority to lure them to their deaths. Her role, however, remains shrouded in mystery, but together they orchestrated a string of horrific murders. Though we may never know the full details of his early life or family, what is clear is that Mesfewi grew into adulthood with a double life, one as a respected member of society and another as a calculating predator who turned faith, reputation, and trust into tools of murder. The crimes of Hadj Mohammed Mesfewi took place in Marrakech during the late 19th and early 20th century, a time when Morocco was still largely independent, with local authorities and merchants running much of daily life. The city's markets were crowded, the streets narrow and bustling, and the economy relied heavily on small-scale trade and domestic work. Many women in Marrakech were poor or had migrated from rural areas in search of employment. They often worked as domestic laborers, market sellers, or apprentices, relying on merchants and community contacts to find opportunities. With few social protections, women traveling alone were exposed to risks, and families had limited ability to monitor their movements. Mesfewi used these circumstances to his advantage. His status as a merchant and pilgrim, known as Hajj, gave him credibility and trust. Women were naturally inclined to believe in his honesty and in the guidance of his companion, Anna. The crowded, chaotic Medina allowed him to operate quietly, while limited law enforcement oversight made it difficult for anyone to detect or prevent his crimes. In this environment of economic vulnerability, social reliance on trusted figures and minimal policing, Mesfewi found the perfect conditions to carry out his crimes repeatedly, preying on the most vulnerable members of society without immediate suspicion. The horror of Mesfewi's method was that it allowed him to kill repeatedly without immediate detection, all while maintaining an image of a respectable merchant. His calm, deliberate actions revealed a mind that understood not only murder but manipulation, how to exploit trust, pity, and the vulnerabilities of women in patriarchal society. The Medina would be full of sounds of merchants calling out their wares, donkey carts moving along the markets, laughter of children darting through the narrow alleys, and the distant chants from mosques echoing across the city. And yet, hidden beneath this life, unseen and unfathomable, lay a darkness that no one suspected. Mesfewi and Anna prowled the edge of this daily life. They did not act in haste, but with patience and precision. They studied the market's routine, learning where women went, who was alone, and who might be seeking hope, work, or guidance. Every glance, every gesture was calculated. When a young woman caught their attention, she was approached with warmth, empathy, and a seeming offer of help. But it was all a carefully laid trap. Step by step, the women were drawn into the shop. Mesfewi and Anna would lure the women under the pretense of dictating letters or documents. At that time, many women were illiterate or needed help with personal, legal, or business correspondence, so they trusted Mesfewi's services. They entered believing they were safe, trusting Mesfewi's reputation as a man of faith and Anna's mystical counsel. But in reality, that kindness masked sinister intentions. When a woman accepted the offer for help, it was too late. Once inside, she would be offered a potion or herb, presented as something to give her energy, guidance, or protection. In reality, this substance weakened her, making her powerless. Historical records indicate that once the woman was incapacitated, Mesfewi then carried out the killing. Though the exact method is not fully documented, but it is likely that Mesfewi used a combination of sedation and strangulation or stabbing to carry out the killings. Afterward, the body would be hidden beneath the shop, under floorboards, in storage areas, or concealed parts of the foundation. While it's not known how he masked the smell of decomposition, it's assumed that he likely used strong-smelling herbs and spices, sealed the hidden spaces carefully, and relied on the daily activity and smells of the shops above to prevent the stench from drawing attention. Life continued in the marketplace above, with no one aware of the crimes being committed beneath their feet. The result was always the same. Another young woman would vanish, leaving families desperate and communities fearful. Over months, at least 36 women vanished. Families searched for their daughters, sisters, and friends, but Mesfewi's respected reputation and his religious title protected him from suspicion. Anna's presence added credibility, making it harder for anyone to question their intentions. The victims shared common circumstances. They were young, vulnerable, and seeking guidance or work. The systematic pattern of luring, sedating, killing, and concealing demonstrates careful planning and manipulation. This went on for a period of time. However, the exact duration of Hadj Mohammed Mesfewi's killing spree remains uncertain. While reports indicate that he was active in the early 1900s, with his arrest occurring in April 1906, a specific start date of his crime is not documented. Some sources suggest that his activities may have spanned several years, but concrete evidence pinpointing the exact timeline is lacking. Initially, the disappearances were seen as isolated incidents. However, as women failed to return home, rumors began circulating through the Medina. Concerned relatives started asking questions, seeking information about the last place their daughters, sisters, and friends had been seen. It was one family's search for their missing daughter that would change everything. The breakthrough came when the family carefully traced the movement of their missing daughter to Mesfewi's shop. The family apprehended Anna and questioned her. Under pressure and torture, Anna confessed to her role in the crimes. Authorities were notified, and this lead marked the beginning of a formal investigation. Investigators turned their attention to Anna, Mesfewi's accomplice. Under questioning, she revealed the chilling details of her role. She admitted to helping lure women into the shop, often under the pretense of dictating letters or offering guidance. Once the women arrived, Anna would give them drinks or herbal preparations, claiming they would aid in concentration or comfort while writing. In reality, these substances weakened the women, leaving them unable to resist Mesfewi's attacks. Anna's confession provided investigators with a clear picture of the systematic methods used to isolate and kill the victims. Following Anna's statements, authorities conducted a thorough search of Mesfewi's premises. Hidden beneath the shop's floorboards, in storage areas, and even within sections of the garden, they discovered the remaining of at least 36 women. 20 were discovered under his shop, while 16 bodies were found in his garden. The bodies had been carefully concealed, demonstrating the level of planning and understanding Mesfewi had regarding how to avoid detection. The discovery of these bodies confirmed the scale of the crimes and shocked the community. The investigation also revealed a calculated pattern. Initially, some families had suspected Mesfewi might be involved in the disappearances, but his reputation as a respected merchant and a pilgrim protected him from serious scrutiny. He understood how to exploit societal norms and the vulnerabilities of women seeking employment, guidance, or assistance. By combining the confessions of Anna with the physical evidence of the hidden bodies, authorities were able to build a case that left no doubt about Mesfewi's responsibility. When brought in for interrogation, Mesfewi admitted to the killings. He described his motivations as financial, taking small sums from each victim, and revealed that he had been committing these murders for several years. The methodical nature of his crimes, combined with the concealment of the bodies and the manipulation of social trust, painted the picture of a man who was both calculating and remorseless. The investigation, painstaking and detailed, ultimately exposed one of North Africa's most notorious serial killers. The findings set the stage for Mesfewi being charged. Historical accounts indicate that Mesfewi did not face a conventional trial. Initially sentenced to crucifixion, the severity of this punishment drew international criticism and diplomatic intervention. His sentence was subsequently modified. He was subjected to public flogging for several weeks. Each day, Mesfewi endured repeated lashes, an ordeal that was physically agonizing and psychologically humiliating, demonstrating the authorities' desire to make an example of him. Finally, on June 11, 1906, Mesfewi faced his ultimate punishment, immurement, a form of execution where someone is killed by walling them up in an enclosed space until they die. Historically, it was used around the world as a severe form of punishment. In this grim execution, Mesfewi was sealed alive in a specially constructed wall in the Marrakech bazaar. The wall was built thick, with only a small opening for observation. Witnesses reported hearing his cries and pleas for mercy for 2 days before they ceased. Death came from a combination of dehydration, starvation, and suffocation. The method was chosen not only to end his life, but also to serve as a stark, terrifying warning to the public about the consequences of such heinous crimes. The execution drew a mixture of shock, horror, and grim fascination from local population. Many gathered to witness the process, understanding that Mesfewi's crimes had been unprecedented in both scale and audacity. His execution underscored the gravity of his offenses and the societal need to restore a sense of moral and physical safety in Marrakech. As for his accomplice Anna, her confession was crucial in exposing the full scale of the atrocities, but the details of her ultimate fate remain unclear. Some accounts suggest that she was punished by authorities, possibly in line with the harsh practices of the time. However, historical accounts do not definitively record whether she was executed, imprisoned, or otherwise punished. What is certain is that her testimony played a pivotal role in bringing Mesfewi to justice and uncovering one of the darkest chapters in Marrakech history. The aftermath of Mesfewi's crimes profoundly affected the community. Families mourned their daughters, sisters, and friends, grappling with the realization that such atrocities had been carried out so openly yet undetected. The case highlighted the vulnerability of women at the time, the dangers of unquestioned trust in figures of authority, and the extreme lengths to which a predator could go by exploiting social norms and religious respectability. Mesfewi's crimes remain a cautionary tale in North Africa history, a chilling example of human cruelty, deception, and manipulation. The investigation, arrest, public punishment, and immurement marked the end of his reign of terror. Yet the memory of his victims endures. Their stories, largely lost in history, serve as a solemn reminder of the consequences of misplaced trust, societal blind spots, and the importance of vigilance against those who exploit them. That brings us to the end of the chilling story of Mesfewi. But now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think justice was truly served with the punishment? Or do you believe there could have been another way? Share your opinions in the comments below. If you found this case as haunting as I did, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end. Your support means more than you know. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.